BigHerc916, positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know, we do it over here. I was just sitting back thinking, man, about the white pill conversation that we had a couple of videos ago. And I was listening to an interview and they were talking about these secret societies, these different groups that are behind the shadows and behind the curtains and the scenes, and how controlling the masses really plays out, right? One of the biggest threats to control of the people is the family structure. The family structure is one of the biggest threats to anyone trying to manipulate, destroy, enslave. When you have a father in the house, you have a mother in the house, you have the balance, and you also have a sense of connection, foundation, and unity. So you get the father out the house. One of the old ways of getting the father out the house was to go to war. You have the father go to war, leaves a wife home. The men who sent the father out to war would randomly visit, oftentimes fraternize with these women who were disheveled, lost, confused, because now they're by themselves with a child. And this is how they gradually moved into the households, right? Then when the men came back from war, you had to create some type of codependence through a benefit or something which allowed those who want to control to still enter the home. Furthermore, why not get the woman in the workplace? Why not take the woman away from the child so that the child now is dependent on the state for education and daycare? Also, the child subject to indoctrination. Just go and look throughout time and how strong families have persevered. Not to say that families with the father and the mother don't face their own challenges, but when you have that, and then you go back another generation, you have the grandparents, and then you have the great-grandparents, and some of these people, that's why it was always celebrated, 60 years marriage, 50 years, 40 years. I mean, that was like, man, wow, you guys stayed together that long. And through the ups and downs, they were able to overcome, but show that there was a bond there. And that was a sign of strength. That's why they didn't really, push divorces back then. They didn't, people got maybe over something, but it wasn't like today where you got a year and somebody gets divorced. It's just bullshit. There wasn't that type of situation. People, even in situations when a man had a child outside the family, the wife, even though she was very disappointed, she usually stuck with her husband, and that's just what they did. You can judge it how you want, but it was just a different sense of family unity. We know that one of the biggest things to destroy the families here in the last 60, 70 years, 80 years was welfare. Women, get the benefits, but you can't have the man in the house. It creates a relationship with the government, with the state. Men become vilified. Men become the enemy. And the woman assumes what she calls an independent situation, but the child grows up with a limited interaction with one of the parents, which creates a psychological, sometimes disorder, good or bad. Move forward. Here we have the children now being targeted in the schools because it wasn't working enough in the colleges. So we got to go now to the elementary schools where it's already hard enough trying to be a kid, trying to fit in, trying to play, trying to have fun. We're going to confuse you even more. Throwing this guy with a beard and a dress on, kicking his legs up. What sense does that make? Really? What does that have to do with anything? You're a kid. You don't need to, you don't know about. That's not even a discussion. Nobody knows who they are. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You don't know. You go through a lot of issues. I know sometimes I was like, man, I felt like I don't want to go to school. Guys getting bullied, dealing with this guy, embarrassing moments. But it's like, really? You're going to throw that in the mix? This is a game? No, man. And the people who institute this stuff, they don't care, man. They don't care about the masses. They don't care. They don't care about people who aren't part of their society. You're collateral, whatever, to them. And I'm just talking, man. I'm just basically reflecting and looking at things from an outside perspective, just thinking of how we're at the state we are right now in society. Then you want to destroy, various other targeted cultures. You basically either over-sexualize, criminalize, throw in a little spice of violence in there and get these people to become what we consider wild animals. In a sense where they're doing things on autopilot and they don't even realize it, and they're destroying themselves because an animal does things sometimes it doesn't really understand because it's not rationalizing. See all the videos, Ratchet culture. You went from having women, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, Anita Baker, Diana Ross, women with soul, Shaka Khan, to now we have Sexy Red, Glorilla. We have the representation of black women. This is what we come down to. No more Lauryn Hills, no more Erykah Badu's. See, music is not just listening. It's a program. It's very powerful. And it channels energies. And the music is one of the most powerful tools in the world. You can use music, vibration, sounds to heal and destroy. Really? Sexy Red? I mean, everything's just, my booty hole's not black, it's brown. I mean, you have lip balm named after nasty names, and young black girls are going to be using this stuff. It's sad, man. It's sad, but you get the bag, you don't care. People don't care. They get the bag, they roll with it. It's no different in you call it, you got, I don't even call it Caucasian, white, whatever you want to call it. It's just a skin hue, but they got the girl, I forgot her. I can't remember if it's Lillian or whatever her name is, who's on OnlyFans, bragged about making $3 million, but took down 1,000 hammers in 24 hours. See, they're getting those girls too. They're getting the white people too. It's not black and white. It's just everybody. Everybody. They want everybody just in disarray. Whore, slut, criminal, gangster. They don't care. They don't care because that's easier to control. You lose yourself in that. Okay, she made 3 million, take it down 1,000. If I take down 100, I make 300,000, 400,000. But you lose yourself. You're not going to find a good man after that. You're not going to have the motherly values of raising a child after you done did all that, and you have the essence of 1,000 hammers. Young girls too, they're doing this. This is young girls. This is all focused on young women. I just seen something on Instagram. Little Tay turned 18, made $1 million in like 3 hours or something. This is what they're setting up young women for, to go to OnlyFans, devalue yourself at the maximum level, and then try to deal with the aftermath. And see, they don't talk about the aftermath. I've been in adult entertainment, so I've seen a lot of these women who have been through the system. I've seen them, man, a lot of them destroyed, damaged. They got to find some guy who's a cold weenie to pick them up and kind of like just go off into the sunset with them, because they can't find any guys who on the side they really want to take them serious. They might be able to find those guys as booty calls. And there's a lot of, you see a lot of women in even entertainment, they can't find a man that will really wife them. Why is that? Why is that? They've already set up the young men to think that everything revolves around a gun. You know, if you look at a gun, it's just like it's like a phallus, right? You got the ball sack and you got the phallus right here. And it's the power. So they done got these guys thinking they run around with power. You know, gun if you're hunting, you know, legally carrying a gun, protect yourself, whatever. You know, it serves a purpose, but it's education. But these guys base everything off it. I've seen guys, videos on social media where they got, Mom, why'd you take it, man? She's like, why you got this in my house? These guys are living in a program where they think they got to carry this thing around to empower themselves, and they're basically preying on people that look like themselves. But then they complain when they say that the law enforcement are biased and they're attacking them, but they have no unity among each other. And they get to prison and they have these same guys they're standing butt naked in a row with, and they're all being talked down to, belittled, dehumanized. But this is what they're preparing themselves for. Not everybody. I'm just saying the ones that aren't looking at the big picture, because the parenting isn't there, because they got rid of the dad a long time ago. If the dad is there, most of the times he's not in there and the daughter's not hoeing out. But this is the white pill conversation. That's why they have these platforms. You notice these guys, you know, they're doing these videos, and you know the guys, you know, who I'm talking about, and they're promoting and they're glorifying these gang guys, but they're not gang members. They're not out there. They didn't grow up in this guy's household where maybe his uncle was on heroin and this guy used to carry a pistol. They didn't grow up, but they're giving these guys an audience and making them feel important, so they continue the cycle and their kids continue it. This is what's going on, man. These are the platforms that are at the top of the algorithm, not the ones that call it out. When you call it out, you're pushed out the bottom, you're shadow banned. They don't want you talking, especially when you're somebody who's been through it. And I've been through it. I've seen it, lived it, been around it. So I'm talking firsthand. I'm not making shit up. I'm not talking about, I've been in juvenile hall. I've seen dudes getting their wigs split. I've been around the dope sets. I've seen the women. I've been around this, you know, pistols, guns, all been around it. And I'm not the super criminal being around everything, but I've seen enough to where when I talk about it and I call it out, because it's like, man, you know, I was lost and I'm still finding myself, but I found myself enough to share with you guys. But they don't want you guys hearing this conversation, man. They got these guys publicly cucking out their wives. They got you thinking it's cool. They got guys, you know, turning out their kids, showing everybody thinking it's cool, but you got a bag. See, the bag is the end all. You got the bag, you can have it. It doesn't matter. You drive a nice car. You talk shit. You can do a bunch of pull-ups, push-ups, whatever the case may be. But you got the bag. The bag is not everything, man. Sometimes you lose yourself, and then when you hit rock bottom, and you're sitting there and you have all these material things, but you hate yourself and you don't want to live, what is it then? What is the bag going to do for you, man? What is the bag going to do then? What does the bag represent? That you sold your soul? And all the people you thought cared about you were all bought? Were all fake? And it all goes back to the family structure, man. Being able to have that person to lean on, talk to. My wife's my best friend. That's who I talk to every day, man. Hang out all day. That's my comfort zone. But you gotta, if you don't have that, and you're like, oh, I'm just busting cheeks. You never know who, because they don't feel like they're the connection, just says, you know what, I'm gonna sell you out. It could be any one of those females or the homies, man. Jealous one time, you're doing well, but they don't want to do what you're doing or put the effort in and sell you out. You gotta have somebody you could trust, man. Who can you trust? Who can you trust? This is white pill conversation, man. So I don't know. I'm just sharing with you guys. I see all this stuff, man. Role models, the men, what they're doing in the different levels of school and education, the fathers, how they're just demasculizing men. In those circles, they don't care. It's fluid, and to each his own. I'm just saying, man, how they control and what they call keep a crabs in a bucket situation. Across all the races, they keep the crabs in a bucket because people, they know that as long as you guys are dealing with all these other things, you're never going to get out the bucket. White pill conversation, crabs in a bucket, man. Subscribe, share the channel, leave a comment. BigHerc916. BigHerc916. I get down with that art. It's been a passion of mine since I was a little kid. And I decided to put together a series of vintage luggage with artwork on them. And this was the first two of that collection. Here I have a silhouette of a Bugatti Veyron I thought was pretty dope that I would like to share with you guys. If you're interested in purchasing, you can DM. And here I have a Mercedes 300 SL silhouette, also on vintage art. And the luggage is actually functional. So I don't know if you would ever want to put anything in here, but hey, it's up to you. BigHerc916. Never settle for average. Go to BigHerc916.com and pick you up a hat. Visit BigHerc916.com to pick up a limited edition GTA poster signed by me for $10, or with your purchase of a Wig Splitter Porsche t-shirt, I'll throw in a free poster signed by me for you.